So I've come to Chris's. We've been testing some of the endpoints of the fiddle yards. So we've got one end here and one end here. And we're testing out the latest wiring scheme. And so I thought I'd show you what we've done. You can see it work in practice, and we'll talk you through the various bits. It may seem obvious to some of you who run DCC that we should have done this a long time ago, but if you watch the videos from the barn, you'll know that we are just up against it, and everything we try and do is never gives us enough time. So you can see Chris hiding in the corner there. If you look down this line here, you should see that all of the locos have their lights on. And what we've done on the rewiring is we've laid it out so that we have separate DCC power buses for each of the 4 main lines. So Chris is going to run some locos now, and he's going to generate a short circuit on one of the tracks. Normally this would bring everything to a standstill until we repair it, but in this case it should auto-correct after 3 seconds, and the other lines should remain unaffected.
Okay, so we've got 4 locos going.
Yep.
So if you short this fast one,
the others are still running, lights on.
And this will come back in 3 seconds.
And we're back.
Short that one.
So we know that our wiring is good and fit for purpose. So the way we get the power on is we have umbilical cables. Let's find under the board. If you've seen those fancy green big plugs, there's one here, and it's in use. So what we have is an umbilical cable that runs from one board, and it would normally go into another board. But where we have DCC coming in, we've made a little power distribution box. So the DCC comes from the boosters here and here, and there are 4 boosters on this, and then it's distributed to the baseboard via this connector and this connector. So this is designed to sit in series, and we'll have one of these in the middle of the scenic section to drive the 4 lines, and we'll have a second one in the middle of the fiddle yard to drive another 4 power districts. So underneath that we've got the Z21, and we've got here a pair of dual boosters. So this gives us 2 DCC outputs and 2 DCC outputs, and then the sorted power supplies and so on in this temporary lash up. But this box lets us jack into the layout, and obviously because it's on a fly lead, we could actually connect this anywhere we want. We've got the flexibility to do that. So as we connect layouts together, for example at Chester Cathedral, you'll see this on Making Tracks 4. But when you come to into Wales and see the larger layout at Vale of Rheidol, then we might change the position of it, and it's just a question of hooking up these jack leads into other parts. It's got the 4 DCC buses, a 12 volt power, and the CAN bus all running through the box. I also have the original Mimic panels that were made for Making Tracks, alongside the new panel that supports the automatic exit road switching. If you've seen the video on panel making, then you'll know we're replacing all of these with new panels. And one of the things I need to do is just decode which vPorts they're using so that I can program the other panels to use it. So let's decode that and see what's going on. So we're just using the CAN monitor to decode the vPorts used by the various tracks on the current panels. So Chris, if you could go to the down fast.
Yeah.
And if you could set the entry fiddle road to straight, let's see what we get on the monitor.
So that's straight.
Okay, so that is vPort 10001, and its 1 is straight. I'll make a record of that. That's the entry road, yes?
Yes.
10001, 1 for straight. And if you could now do the exit.
That's straight.
Okay, I'm getting several packets there. Oh, we're using the router on this, aren't we? Yeah. Can we actually use the panel itself?
No.
Take 2. Okay, if you want to cycle the entry road, so operate the entry
to
the fiddle yard.
Okay, that's straight.
And turned. Brilliant. There's 1, 1. Okay, if you do the exit now.
That's to straight.
So it's 10,002. Is it straight now, did you say?
It is now.
Okay, that's a 1. Okay, let me record that. 10,002. And
yeah, those are still going to come up with extra packets.
Yes, yes. Yes, it's for the relay feedback and stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, fair enough. Right, if we could do the up slow now.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get this on the screen. Okay, when you're ready, if you operate the input to the fiddle yard.
So, that was the exit, sorry.
Okay, if you do the in.
That's the in.
And that's straight?
Yeah.
So 1008. And that is the up slow, is it?
Yep.
Up slow 1008. And if you could also do the exit now.
Okay, so that's angled and that's straight.
7 and 1 means straight. So 1007 and a 1 for straight. And finally,
should we got the extra packets for that though?
I don't know. It doesn't matter because it will all be reprogrammed.
Okay.
I mean, there's a relay involved. It just depends how it's programmed. I'm presuming this is going to be 5 and 6 anyway.
Right, that's the entry.
Okay, and is that straight?
That is now.
Straight, that's 5, not so. 1005 1. And the exit then is going to be number 6 is my guess.
Okay, and that's straight. Yep.
Brilliant. Heath Robinson would have been proud. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, excellent.
Are you happy with that?
Very happy.
You're relieved it's working?
Yeah, I am.
So
These are our 2 most complex boards to have done, and to have it all working, all the districts working, all the panels working, all the automatic point working, huge relief. And it looks really good. Really pleased with it.
And the new panel that you've just temporarily disconnected here is also using the router and the automatic the automatic point selection on exits.
That's right. Yeah.
Dare I show people what's underneath the baseboard?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good thing to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Is the lighting okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Wow. So we were just using this a minute ago to get power in.
Yeah.
Look how neat this is. Whoa, properly held on. Nothing's loose. Board's properly fastened. This looks like it belongs here now. There's a little servo. All the bus wires, another board. Power distribution board. Wow, look at all this. The relay, everything looks right. That was the old hacked auto signal with the wrong hardware. Looks like we've made some provision here, and if I turn the camera around, I won't. You'll be able to read this as well. And we come to the opposite end of the board, and we've got the in and the out opposite. And this here is track feed, is it?
Correct, yeah.
Brilliant. So Chris, tell us about the wiring job.
Okay, so if you remember the whole purpose of what we're trying to do here is move away from one bus that's controlling all of the lines, because when we have a short or something happens, the entire layout goes down, which is not great from a public entertainment point of view. And we were generally seeing a great deal of wear and tear now having an effect on the railway. So we've taken the decision to completely rewire everything, which is about 68 boards. That's such a huge logistical task. And our 2 most complicated boards are these 2 here, you can see. And these are the end point fiddle yard boards. And they're complicated because they've just got frogs and lots of MegaPoints boards in there. And so all of that has to be taken account of. So what we can see here is these grey are the 4 DCC buses. So you'll see that going throughout every board. And then in the middle, this red and black, that's our 12-volt bus. And we've terminated it just here, but we've put provision in that we can run it down the fiddle yards in the event that to future-proof it.
These are only observations, they're not criticism.
Yeah.
Right, because we're trying to get it right, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Why you've got the 216-foot layout?
Yes.
You've only got 2-foot wide boards all the way around, but some of them have 4-foot, even 6-foot, won't they?
Yeah, they will. They're not drawn to scale. This is just a numbering diagram.
Right, but there'll be boards on the inside of it.
That's right. And, you're right.
That's really occur on that big 216-foot layout.
Yeah, that's something we're going to have to work out.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
so
that's another one. I'm just going through.
Yeah.
So the other is, why you've got north and south?
Yes.
Why can we not just have front and back? Because it don't mean anything to me, north and south. I know it does to Pete, and you're going south to London and north.
Yeah,
it don't mean anything on layout to me.
No, you're right. So we can put front and back on. The reason to put north and south on is because Pete. That's how Pete talks to me. So I can never. Yeah.
Chris, this wiring looks amazing.
Okay, so thank you, Dave. So if we just go wind back a bit about to why are we doing Project Rewire with Making Tracks. So at the moment we've got one DCC bus that goes around the entire layout, and that causes us issues when we have a derailment or a short. It brings the entire layout to a stop, which is not great from a public entertainment perspective. And we're also seeing the last show we did, a wear and tear is now creeping in, and that's causing us issues as well. So we've taken the decision to do a complete rewire of the layout, which is about 68 boards, which is so it's a huge logistical challenge we've given ourselves. And these two boards here are our point boards from the fiddle yard, and they are our most complex ones to do. And so what we are doing is introducing 4 power districts, so 4 DCC buses to the layout, so that if there was a short on one, it doesn't affect the other 3, and that keeps the trains running for people.
Are they then further subdivided between fiddle yard and scenic?
Yeah, that's what we're going to try and do. Yeah, it's going to do, and then divide the layout in 2, so that we've got zones in the fiddle yard and zones in the scenic side. What we can see here is the finished board, and as I said, this is the most complicated because you've got a lot going on underneath these point boards. But just to break it down, we've got the 4 grey DCC buses, and they are all colour coded. So if anybody's been to one of our shows, you'll see people wearing colour coded waistcoats, and they designate who is driving on what line. And we've using that colour coding throughout all of our rewiring, so we can easily and quickly see what wires relate to what line. So you can see here we're using coloured ties, and we've got a red, that's our red line, yellow line, green and blue line. And when we come to the end of the board, we are continuing to use the colour coding. So in this terminal distribution block, you can see we've painted the colour coding so that when we come to wire the board, it's very easy for us to make sure the right wires go to the right connectors, because with this amount of wiring, the potential to make a mess of it and connect the wrong wires or crosswire stuff is quite high. So we're doing our utmost to make it very clear, both for diagnostics and construction purposes, what wires go to where. So we've colour coded all the blocks. All the wires have got colour coded ferrules and colour coded heat shrink on there. So hopefully we can't or reduce the amount of mistakes we can make by wiring it all together. So you can see we've got the blue, green and yellow, red. They're the DCC, and they are the outer wires here. In this red and black wire is the 12-volt bus that runs along, and that powers all of the MegaPoints boards. And we have put a brake here together with a CAN bus brake, because we don't necessarily need 12 volts in the CAN bus running down the fiddle yard, which is in that direction, but we might in the future. So I've put this in to future-proof the layout, just in case we need to do anything interesting with the fiddle yard in the future. We've got the capability to bring that on stream. The yellow and blue cable is our CAN bus, so that's the data bus that's taking all the signals from MegaPoints boards all around the layout. And so we can see that going into each of the MegaPoints boards, and that's kind of gone round. And then finally, we've got the 2 terminal blocks at the end. So these are these green plugs and sockets. We are calling these our umbilical cables. We've got 2 lengths. We've got a metre length, we go around corners, and then this 50 centimetre length, and that joins each of the boards together. And again, you can see all of these are colour coded. So again,
I didn't catch that. Could you try again?
So trying to reduce the amount of the potential risk of incorrectly wiring the wrong wire to the wrong socket. So we've colour coded them all up. We've all colour coded ferrules. Those are our buses. That's our 12-volt bus, and that's our CAN bus in the middle there. And they just simply slot in. Let's do that again. And
they just simply slot in, Chris, I believe.
Slot in. I can't do this out of glasses, that's the trouble. Right, there.
You can do it with your eyes shut, I'm told.
There we go. Right, let's do that bit again.
Okay. So these simply slot in, do they?
So these umbilical codes slot in to the 12-way sockets, and then this one would go to the next board along like that.
Brilliant. Well done. Looks like you've made some real progress.
So we have made real progress.
I'm excited to see if it all works.
Yeah, me too. But we've just umbilicaled these together, and these have worked really well. So very pleased. That's our first big milestone in actually commissioning the board and the layout. We have now done rewired 20 boards, which is a significant achievement, and that's all of Chester's layout now finished and done. And now we can move on to another one. So in my project plan, that's about 3 weeks ahead of schedule, which is I'm really amazed with. And the team, the guys that have been building everything, done an amazing job, because it's not just about sitting down and rewiring the board, it's having all of these components like the sockets and the bridges, all of these pre-made, so that a team can then strip the board and redo it. But we've got people who are making all of these components as well to keep the workflow going, and that's just as important as rewiring the board. Logistically, there's a lot to do.
It's worth stating as well that this layout won't have ever been assembled until we put it up at Chester, so we actually don't know if it works.
Yeah, but yes, we're doing everything we can to pre-test it, but you're right, as with all making tracks layouts, we don't know whether it's working until we get there, and that's part of the problem where we want to make this more robust, because we're finding every time we open the layout to the public, it's taking us at least half a day to get it running smoothly, and that's the kind of what I want to reduce, so we're entertaining the public more quickly.
Well, it looks fantastic. So great, Chris. Thanks for that, and I'll see you next weekend on the in the barn.
You are. You told me to wire them into the DCC buses.
Oh no. So Chris has wired the point position indicators here onto the DCC buses, and we're using the point position indicator because it's a voltmeter to show us whether the DCC section has power or not, and these are wired onto the mini panel to vPorts 5 to 8, and they're all colour coded nicely. Chris likes his colours, so we'll just program them up and see if we get anything. So Chris, if you could give me the down fast first. That was port 5, and that is 10041. Let's see if I can get this right. 41. And the what's in pin socket 6?
That'll be the yellow line.
Okay, and that is up, slow, down. I don't know the colours.
Yeah, so that's up fast.
Up fast. So that's 10042. And then in pin 7,
that will be down slow.
Down slow 10043. And the last one is 10044.
Yeah.
Which is the up slow.
Correct.
And I better set these to, I'll do point position sensor. Press set all 4. So there we are, we're all set now. So I've set them to, I've left it at half a second, and I've set the vPorts. So let's turn this over and see it work. So Chris, let's test this now with the record button pressed, because we've not tested this previously. So we're going to be very shocked at the results, aren't we? And surprised.
Really shocked, yes, yeah.
Okay, so we are checking for shorts on the power. Chris, if you want to short the first line.
Okay, first one. Short it, so just testing it. There we go.
10041, great. Next one. 10042, off. Hang on, let's wait for it to come on, and on. Next one. 10043, great, and on. And 10044 should be off and on. So I'm now going to program the panels back at my house.
Yeah.
Put the right sockets on them at some point, and then next time we do this, the panels will change colours.
Yes, so this is going to indicate where on the layout we have a short.
Yes, fiddle yard or scenic.
Yes.
I mean, we can have as many monitors as we have districts. Let's take baby step. I think we took quite a giant step actually with this lot so far.
Yeah.
So I'll just simulate the power on the panel so you can see the desired end result. So I've wired up the yard ones to some buttons to simulate what we just programmed on the panels at Chris's, and when there's a failure, they're red. And then they'll all go green when we have power, and so on. So we can see whether we have an issue or not on the power.